Okay, so this video is about the 3 reasons why I use prime lenses. Uh, if you don't know what a prime lens is, it's essentially a lens with a fixed focal length, something like this, meaning that you have to zoom with your feet. So that's the first reason I use prime lenses. Now, when I say zoom with your feet, when I started in photography, it was actually to supplement my education during film school. I didn't feel like I was learning enough about lighting and lenses, so I went and got the most expensive camera that financial aid could buy. My first lens was a kit lens, which is a zoom, and the second lens I bought was a 70 to 200 millimeter ISL lens, which was like, I don't remember, maybe like $1,500. And that expensive lens, it took, it had quality images because it was a very nice glass and optics. The problem is that being able to zoom in and out as a beginner, it makes you lazy when you can get coverage of the shot by the flick of a wrist. That's sort of what you do, and you might think like rule of thirds or golden mean, what have you. But having a fixed lens, forcing you to move your feet, it changes. Like this is a classic camera. It changes the way in which you see the world, because you have to physically change your perspective in order to get a different arrangement between the elements of the background and the foreground, and to really like physically embody this idea of composition. Good photography tells the viewer, what to look at any given time. So the second reason why I use prime lenses is that from a technical aspect, dollar for dollar, a prime lens is going to give you better optics than a zoom lens, meaning like $300 prime lens versus $300 zoom lens. The zoom lens has to be good throughout its different focal range, whereas a prime lens just has to be awesome at the focal range that it's at. So you can think about things like color aberration, or any sort of like color distortion and fringing at the edges, what have you. You're going to experience less of that with a good prime lens than you would with a zoom lens. At comparable price points. The third reason, when you think about filmmaking, is there's a difference between zooming in and pushing in with the camera. A zoom actually compresses the image this way, and so like a wide angle lens sort of stretches the image in a certain regard. So that's why if you stick your hand out in a wide angle, the hand looks gigantic, or the arm looks extra long, because a wide angle lens stretches the image this way, whereas a zoom lens compresses and stretches the image this way. A classic example of this is if you look at there's a scene in Goodfellas where the dynamic between Ray Liotta and Al Pacino changes. It's the bar scene, and Scorsese uses an effect where he's like pushing and zooming at the same time, and this makes like sort of the world compress around them while still keeping the same perspective on the two actors. I think another example of that is Steven Spielberg uses in Jaws, when the protagonist first sees the shark, zooming and pushing at the same time to keep the subject within the same perspective within the frame, but sort of making the world around him go crazy. And these are emotional ways in which foreground and background, or different things within the composition, affect like how the viewer perceives the scene. Those are the reasons. My photography is typically black and white, and typically uses very simple elements. And so, especially for beginners, I would say a prime lens is really going to help you hone those fundamentals as a photographer. And that's what it's all about. I hope you enjoyed that video. If you want to see more of my work, check out the links in the description box.